It's a beautiful Monday morning here in Lagos. Good morning, everyone, and Happy New Year to you. Thank God you made it, and thank you for your commitment towards us in the outgone year. We're really grateful for choosing TVC News and indeed this morning. I am Nifemi Oguntoye. We'll be beginning with the president's speech. They say Mr. President sound pretty much like a preacher man this morning. But most importantly, he seemed to understand the reality of many Nigerians. Some are asking, is this renewed hope or renewed shaking? And it was very specific in a submission saying he understands that some of government's policies have now, brought a lot of hardship on Nigerians and is committed to ensuring that that changes in the new year. He did say that his administration will have no excuse for poor performance as he has taken the path to serve Nigeria and give his best at all times. He talked about the Policy Coordination, Evaluation, Monitoring and Delivery Unit in the presidency to ensure that, his appointees are at par with their expectation for their duties. And he's saying that this will ensure that governance output improves the living condition of the Nigerian people. The expectations are high. It's far past 7 months now, and we're saying that perhaps the welcome party is over as Nigerians look forward to see the impact of this government and indeed the promises it made last year, which was election year. The president mentioned in his New Year address that he has strong assurance about the full implementation of his renewed hope agenda. We have more details in this report.
It gives me immense joy to work.
In a nationwide broadcast on Monday, President Bola Tinubu addressed Nigerians on celebration of the New Year 2024. He reminisced on his journey to becoming president and praised Nigeria's 24 years of uninterrupted democracy. President Tinubu talked about making difficult choices, such as eliminating fuel subsidy and relieving a small number of people who were choking Nigeria's foreign exchange system, which benefited only the wealthy.
To become your president.
He acknowledged that these two choices caused discomfort to Nigerians. However, he said that hard times don't last. In 2024, President Tinubu said his administration will focus on accelerating the pace of service delivery across sectors. On reliable supply of electricity, he said his administration recognizes that no meaningful economic transformation can happen without steady electricity supply.
Just this past December, during COP28 in Dubai, the German Chancellor, Olaf Scholz, and I agreed and committed to a new deal to speed up the delivery of Siemens energy power project that will ultimately deliver reliable supply of electricity to our homes and businesses under the presidential, which began in 2018. Other power installation projects to strengthen the reliability of our transmission lines and optimize the integrity of our national grid are ongoing across the country. My administration recognizes that no meaningful economic transformation can happen without steady electricity supply. In year 2020.
President Tinubu says his administration is moving a step further to restart local refining of petroleum.
In year 2024, we are moving a step further. Quest to restart local refinery of petroleum products with Port Harcourt refinery and the Dangote refinery, which shall fully come on stream.
The president also pledged to accelerate efforts to cultivate 500,000 hectares of farmlands nationwide to boost food supply. To boost investors' confidence, he reiterated commitment to remove any hurdle to foreign investment.
To ensure constant food supply, security, and affordability, we will step up our plan to cultivate 500,000 hectares of farmland across the country to grow maize, rice, wheat, millet, and other staple crops. I will fight every obstacle that impedes business competitiveness in Nigeria, and I will not hesitate to remove any clog hindering our path to making Nigeria a destination of choice for local and foreign investments.
President Tinubu also spoke about the actualization of 8 priority areas in 2024 budget.
In my 2024 budget to the National Assembly, I listed my administration's 8 priority areas to include national defense and internal security, job creation, macroeconomic stability, investment environment, optimization, human capital development, poverty reduction, and social security.
For President Tinubu, the unity of Nigeria is paramount. He sought the support of the opposition and wants Nigerians to let the light of each citizen, men and women, young and old, shine bright and brighter to illuminate the path to a glorious dawn. Ademola Lawrence, TVC News, Lagos.
The new year began with a few promises from Mr. President. He's promised reliable supply of electricity, followed by boosting food supply and also improving local and foreign investments. The actualization of 8 priority areas in his 2024 budget, which he, talked about earlier, as well as restarting local refining of petroleum. He specifically mentioned the Port Harcourt petroleum, the Port Harcourt refinery, as well as the Dangote refinery coming to full functioning this year. Let's talk about Mr. President's speech and what it means for the new year, particularly vis-a-vis the expectations of Nigerians at this time. I'm joined by environmentalist and APC chieftain Tunde Imoleyin, who joins us live from our Abuja studio. Also joining us is former Nigerian ambassador to Burundi, Ambassador Elijah Oyagba. Gentlemen, good morning and Happy New Year to you.
Good morning. Happy New Year. It's good to be here.
Good morning.
Absolutely.
Happy New Year to all Nigerians.
Indeed. Welcome, gentlemen. Let me begin with you, Mr. Imoleyin. We're going to talk about Mr. President's speech shortly. But how important would you say 2024 is for Nigeria, given where we're coming from? And how important is, this new year to Nigeria's history?
Yes. Thank you, Nifemi. I appreciate you. And I thank you once again for inviting me. First day of the year. 2024. Wow, this year Nigeria is going to be 64 years. I can imagine what you expect a 64-year-old person to be, a fool or a wise person. I think the trajectory is pretty cool. We started in May, we started again in May this year, May 29 to be precise. And despite the fact that we have been made to swallow some hard pills, Nigerians are still very, very expectant, and they are very committed. They are very passionate about evolving and bringing about a new country where the focus will more or less be centered around the vulnerable, the marginalized, the poor, and that this set of people can, for the first time, genuinely, be the centerpiece of our administration. That's my expectation. And I believe that that is the expectation of every Nigerian, wherever they are, whether they're in the village, they're in the urban area, or whether they're in the rural, semi-urban area, wherever they are, whether even in the diaspora, every Nigerian is very, very, is expectant, is believing that the Tinubu administration, will deliver. That is expectation. It's in the air. You can feel it. There are people believe that, are we going to suffer in vain? Are we going to, people believe they are not hopeless. They believe that the leaders can actually, lead from the front. And it has never been like this. That certain programs should be put in place that are targeted at making sure that Nigerians have a sustainable feature in place, and Nigerians are really, really tied to it, obediently, almost obediently. And
Ambassador, yes, I hear you very
quite
clearly,
very
Mr.
excited.
Imolayin. Let me just quickly bring in the ambassador into this conversation. I'm sure you're back from Burundi and that you've also experienced Nigeria, for yourself and feel the pulse of the people in alignment with the expectation that Mr. Imolayin talked about. How realistic are these expectations? Would you say that the expectations of Nigerians, that the fruits of the policies and decisions made by this administration should be seen this year, is in alignment with reality?
Oh, thank you so very much. Happy New Year to Nigerians. Happy New Year to TVC and quite a lot of people that has woken up this morning to be able to listen to the President of the Federal Republic of Nigeria. I am very excited, first, to God for giving us the opportunity to see the light of 2024. The nation in itself has been through a lot, but still grateful to God as, we had a peaceful election in Nigeria. We had that transition from one government to another, extending the length of our democracy in the country. This is something that no matter how we look at it and no matter the flaws with which it came, it is something that I believe that is a progress in the right direction. For Nigerians, I think the expectations are very clear. For the president of the country, I also feel that he understands what the expectations of Nigerians are. His speech this morning
We probably will have to get back to the ambassador to, hear him completely as regards that thought. But Mr. Imolayin, he started talking about the fact that Mr. President's speech speaks to perhaps his understanding of the challenges. I'm sure you saw the story about, the reaction of Lagosians while he was driving through, and some people saying, Mr. President, actually, we're hungry. The perception is that the president of the country is isolated or insulated rather from the reality of Nigerians. How important is the fact that Mr. President understands that his policies, specifically, the removal of fuel subsidy and unification of foreign exchange, have brought some hardship on the people?
Yes. Nifemi, if there is one thing you should know about this president, it is the fact that is one president that is very concerned about his legacy. He's very concerned about what would people say at the end of the day when he would have left office. He's one president that actually prepared very, very well for this office. I can say that he's an ambitious man. Yes, he is. I can say that he has a lot of empathy. He has displayed it so many times. I've been witness to that. So he's connected to the grassroots, and that's a plus. That is one of the things that this man is bringing to government. You do not need to tell anyone to understand where Bola Tinubu stands when the affairs of the poor, the neglected, the underprivileged, the vulnerable, the marginalized are concerned. He shows a lot of empathy and understanding, and this has reflected in some of the decisions he has taken in the last 7 or 8 months in office. So I have seen I have read what he said, a lot of brevity, concise, straight to the point, and he itemized all of them, and he spoke to them dispassionately. So when you see somebody saying that, trust me, I am going to deliver, I am going to make you smile, go through this pain. But what I would expect is that while we are at that, the people on top should also be mobilized to show the same empathy in their behavior, in the way they spend people's money, and the way they act. If there is any minister or any public servant that is still studying the books to perform, that person should find his way out of office. I am not saying that I have the power to do that. If on this day, first day of January 2024, there is still a government official, an appointed official, a minister, or anyone that is so significant to the delivery of this hope, renewed hope, and that is telling anyone that I am still studying the papers, that person should give way to people who are ready to deliver the goods. I believe, and I liken the situation to a football field, where we have the defense, we have the midfielder, we have the attacking midfielder, and the defensive midfielder, and of course, the third, which is the striking options. We have a good coach, there's no doubt about that. And we have to look at how can we get the defense, the midfield, and the third, which is the striking force, to ensure they complement with this good coach that God has given to us. I don't have any doubt in my mind that all the things that Mr. President has said, that he spoke from the heart, and is one person that is not afraid of criticisms. And you can see some low-hanging fruits, you can see middle-term options, and you can also see a long-term options available. We are now looking at, for the very first time, in a very unusual way, we have a unit. It's not as if it has never happened, but we have a unit that is going to start monitoring, checking the activities of those in government and doing the needful. And we have somebody, a round peg in a round hole, that is there. I'm talking about Adiza. So we have people. Look at the solid mineral sector. Look at the creative economy. For the first time, I was so happy to see Richard Mufedamijo, at the stock exchange. These are things that you never saw. That is the work of somebody with experience from the private sector. So when you start talking about the experience in Lagos, you now understand what we're talking about. I know people are really not really enjoying, the way they should be. It is simply because we had terrible developments in the past in terms of mismanagement of our affairs. So when we have somebody who says, okay, don't worry, I will fix it, we will fix it together. He even said we are joint here. It was even being biblical and being religious in that. And if you understand what joint air means, he is talking about partnership, that I can't do it alone. And like the football field analogy that I drew, if you are in a football field,
if you can hear me, that the president himself sounds pretty much like a preacher man. I doubt if you can hear me, but let me quickly bring in the ambassador. I understand is back. We're just talking about how important, the reality of things here, the fact that the president can acknowledge that the people are feeling the heat, the impact of some of the policies he made last year. But do you think that we've seen, this administration match these words with action, particularly in spending, and in the, the administration of the country's resources in the past 7 months?
Thank you very much, my brother. Earlier on, I was, talking about the administration of this president, and I was talking about the fact that the speech was laden with empathy. If you listen to the president, he started by acknowledging the difficulties Nigerians are facing at the moment. And what are those difficulties? This government took two major decisions, which is the removal of petroleum subsidy and the issues relating to addressing the gap we have in the exchange rate. These two challenges brought about a big problem in the nation. And of course, that's one of the reasons why you found the president talking about this. These are actually very painful decisions. The outcome has actually led to, difficulties in the lives of Nigerians. But these are necessary to avoid the country getting to a point, what we refer to as fiscal cliff, where we can no longer even make any kind of progress. We have, over the years, been kicking the can down the road. We have come to a point where we needed to face the can and deal with the issues relating to the can. However, that acknowledgement is very important from the point of view of leadership. However, we are also in a country where the people are hoping that their leaders must also lead by example. I had my brother talking about the fact that those in the position cannot afford to carry on as business as usual or carry on businesses as usual. There has to be a very clear departure from the past. Whether in terms of emolument, whether in terms of appointments, there has to be that clear departure from the past. But the focus this morning is on the speech made by the president, which I talked about the fact that he acknowledged the challenges that Nigerians are facing. And he did not just acknowledge the challenges, he tried to present a way forward for those challenges. You will agree with me that over the years, we have imported fuel into this country. And at this point in time, we are having a glimmer of hope that is saying that the Port Harcourt and the Dangote refineries will start refining oil so that we can cut out the foreign exchange impact, the inflation that comes as a result of the demand on our foreign exchange for the importation of petroleum products. That is a step in the right direction, and every Nigerian must be proud of what has happened or what is happening in that sector. That in itself will help us deal with the issue of the price increase as a result of the importation of petroleum products. Now to the other aspects of the expectations of Nigerians. You see, people are hungry. We cannot deny that. And that's the reason why I'm happy that the president talked about food security, trying to support the initiatives that 500,000 hectares must be cultivated. We are in a country where, the population is huge. We cannot afford to be importing food into the country. This is a recipe for failure. We have done that over the years, and that the president has recognized this and is investing and ensuring that Nigerians can actually have food security. The other part of it, a lot of Nigerians will, have issues relating to presidents moving from one part of the country to another, not even part of the country, from one country to another in the name of, diplomacy. A lot of issues, came up, people complained about the number of people that went to COP28 and so on and so forth. But you see, Nigeria is not a nation that will survive on its own. We have neighbors. We must, relate with the international community. And usually the president is the principal minister of foreign affairs. He has made his mark. He has actually set the tone. He has his 4D foundation for which he wants to drive his foreign policy. And that's the reason why you see him leading from the front. He has gotten commitments from the Saudi Arabian government to assist us both in injecting liquidity into our foreign exchange market and as well as assisting us with revamping our refineries. He has also gotten commitment from the German Chancellor in continuation of the Siemens power deal, which is expected to help us, activate, the energy sector in Nigeria. He has also engaged with a lot of other governments at G20 and all of that, making presentations for the benefit of the country. So I hear the president loud and clear. And when my brother was speaking from Abuja, he talked about the evaluation. I think the most exciting time for Nigerians will be when the ministers are going to be evaluated, so that we'll be able to see ministries that are working hard and ministries that are not working hard. And of course, the president taking a very stern action, because, we know ministries that are working hard without pointing names. We can see what has happened in the Interior Ministry, where backlog of passports has been cleared and quite a lot of changes are happening there. We can also see activities in the humanitarian sector, humanitarian ministry. There are quite a lot of ministries that are working, but the clear agenda is that whoever that is not performing must give way, because the president understands the yearnings of Nigerians and he has promised that he cannot give excuses.
It is perhaps the second time we're hearing the president talk about how insecure the positions of the appointees are, especially if they have refused to perform. Mr. Molenye, what are your expectations in this regard when you hear him say there is no excuse for poor performance from any of the appointees, and then an evaluation is expected in the first quarter of the year? Do you expect that some of them will go in this new year? Because how do you really, prove these words with action?
Nifemi, my job is not to assess them. I mean, the person to assess them is there. But of course, Nigerians need to do their own work. We need to assess them. We need to assess them. I was talking about the football field the other time. I said no matter how much the fans actually want to support the coach, if the results don't show promises, there's no way the fans can actually back the coach. The coach has to go. That's exactly where we are. The point is that the people has to do their own evaluation. The committee, the department saddled with monitoring and evaluation also has to come to the party. It's happening, not for the first time, because I recollect that has happened in the past, but with Bola Ahmed Tinubu, you can't have a free show being in office. You can't give excuses for lack of performance. It's not possible. It's not in his DNA, from what we know of him. So it is not possible. I know of past governments whereby you just stroll into office and you stroll out of the office. It doesn't matter what you brought to the table. But this is not going to be like that. It's not likely to be like that. I will be shocked to the marrow if it ends up being like that. So you are better if you are getting an appointment. The appointment is not for you to go and enjoy. It is for you to go and endure and work for the people. And that's exactly that is why the president is supposed to be enjoying his holiday. You can see the kind of movement from all over the world going to Bodilon, going to Lagos, just to see him, not for socials, but for business activities. This is a very restless human being, for Christ's sake, at over 70. So who are you at 50? Who are you at 40? Who are you at late 30s to be saying that you are in government and you don't have the energy to do even better? So these are the things. If you got government appointment by way of your talent, this is the platform for you to showcase it. We have seen some of the ministers performing well, telling us, giving us the reason, justifying the reason why they were appointed in the first place. And I think, and why some are even cutting controversies. I think enough is enough. You are there to work. You are there to do the needful. You are there to support the coach so that we can be happy, so we can win laurels, so that we can win shields, and we can have them in our cupboard. So that's exactly the situation. And let me say something about the president's speech concerning the opponents. He actually said so. It's magnanimous. It shows a lot of magnanimity.
Hold up for a minute. We're going to talk about that shortly, but you agree with me that whatever evaluation or monitoring standard must indeed mirror the expectations of Nigerians. And I think time will tell whether this policy coordination, evaluation, monitoring, delivering unit is actually going to deliver based on the expectations of the people. But let's take a short break. And when we're back, we'll explore more of the president's New Year speech. Stay with us, everyone.